Good morning. All right. Why don't we kick this thing off? We only have an hour, so let's go ahead and start. We've got 20 attendees with us.
Perfect.
Again, Tim D'Andrea, Score, Northern Arizona. I'm a volunteer mentor. I'm also a workshops program manager here, 4-year veteran of SCORE. We are here to talk about the ultimate small business marketing checklist. Mark Stafford is a local provider of web design services and other digital marketing services. Used to be a Prescott resident
I
for a
did.
while, and now resides in the Valley.
Hmm.
But we'll let him give himself a more thorough interview or bio. But he's a graduate of Arizona Christian University. Are you a local? Are you born in Arizona, Mark?
You know what? I've been here a really long time.
Almost.
I, I've been here longer than I haven't. I moved here in '93 to go to Arizona Christian University, which was then called Southwestern College.
Yeah. Anyway, Mark is a local freelance digital marketing expert and a fellow musician, which I was delighted to hear about in our last meeting. So the way this works, folks, is I'm going to give you just a second on score. Why don't I do that now? Um, which is a nationwide, 60, 70-year-old volunteer network. We're a nonprofit, partially funded by the SBA, Small Business Administration, and we provide three things to startups and small businesses. We provide, free business advice and mentoring via a relationship that you would have with a mentor like myself. One-on-one. We can meet in person if that's convenient, or over the phone on Zoom, and we get into the issues and stumbling blocks you are having with your business, and either direct you to low or no cost business training like we have today. When we've got a lot of these webinars are recorded and are wonderfully informative. We have also a website chock full of templates on how to your business planning, startup assistance, fundraising, you name it. It's a massive resource on our web that we encourage you to explore with the help of a mentor, because it's quite vast. So we provide these things. You can turn us on as long as you need us and turn us off. There's no obligation. It's absolutely free. The only charge that may come up is occasionally we might have a paid workshop. Kind of rare, but that's us in a nutshell. SBDC is a similar entity. Whoops, I guess I should stop this. Who operates in close conjunction with various colleges and universities. Maria, I don't know if you're on, if you care to speak. I can't tell if you're actually connected, but yc.edu is their website for more information. Let me turn this over now to Mark. And again, if you would like to ask a question, all the microphones are silent. Please use the Q&A feature, which should be at your fingertips, and also the chat box. Chat more for comments and things like that. Becky just chimed in. Thank you, Becky, with the SBDC's website in the chat box. And Mark, maybe a quick intro on yourself. I think it's part of your PowerPoint. So please
Hey,
take
you
it away.
bet. Well, first of all, Tim, thank you for inviting me to be part of this, and so glad to lead this group through some tips and tricks about how to get their business on the internet, how to help you get seen, help you be known out there in the digital world. So today, I'm going to talk about what we're going to cover today, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit about who I am. Then we'll get right into it. Okay. So first thing is what we're going to cover today is it's all about the basics of small business digital marketing, especially if you have a new business. Now, if you have a new business, can you type new in the chat? Just type new in there. Um, we're going to be giving you some tips on how to get more leads from your website. Okay, a few new ones in there. All right, a bunch of new people. All right, that's great. Well, this is going to be very helpful for you today, I hope. So, we're going to talk about some tips about how to set up your website so you get more leads from your website. We're going to talk about some real basic essentials for SEO. So, what we're going to talk about today will be enough for some businesses, especially if you have like a micro business or a business in a very niche area. For other businesses in very high competitive areas, if you're like a remodeler or you're you're a plumber, something that's very competitive, and press good if you're a realtor, you're going to need some additional help after you get these things set up. So this will be a baseline. You'll need some additional help. So it'll be kind of a range. If you could in the chat type in what kind of industry you're in, tell me if you are you a plumber, are you a real estate agent, are you starting some kind of new product, just type in the chat the product that you're offering. That'd be really helpful for me to know. So while you're doing that, we're going to also talk about the basics about how to utilize your Google Business account. It is the secret for SEO. A lot of businesses ignore it, and it is the main thing that drives it. And lastly, I'm going to give you some links and some tools and some tips and tricks that have taken me and my crew years and years and years and thousands of dollars worth of training to discover and then to verify. And I'm going to give a lot of those away for free today. And so let me see what we got going on here. Art classes, special education, okay, health and wellness, realtor. We got a whole thing. Oh my goodness, axe throwing, breakfast restaurant. So we have quite a range of businesses here today. So welcome. I'm glad that you're all here. Let me tell you just a little bit about myself. First of all, I own Ablaze Media. I've been in business since 2007. I wrote the ultimate guide for small business digital marketing. It looks kind of like that. And that's on Amazon. Um, I've been offering creative services for a long time. I specialize in nonprofits and in ministry organizations as well as small businesses. I'm a graduate of Arizona Christian University. I've been married almost 30 years. I'm married to a native Presbyterian, and we have 4 children. And as Tim said before, I'm an active musician. I play mostly jazz these days. Okay. First thing is I want to know if you could type in the chat if you have a website or not. So type yes in the chat if you have a website and no in the chat if you do not have a website. Okay, so a bunch of yeses coming. Okay, well, not there's a no. All right, so it looks like most of you do have a website. Let me talk about a few things that are really helpful to know as far as how you lay out your website. When we come in, we use something that's called conversion rate optimization, or CRO as our hip hop name for it. And we'll go into a website and we'll look at, all right, why aren't people responding to this website and how can we make it better? I'm going to run through just a few tips here right off the bat that are going to be really helpful for people responding to your website more frequently. The first thing is I can't tell you how many websites, especially in small business world, that I can't find the phone number. If you want people to call your phone number, you need to put the phone number very specifically in the upper right-hand corner. It should be, hold on, I'm gonna get my pen out. It should be right there every time. People expect your logo to be on the left-hand corner. They expect your or phone number to be on the right hand corner. And if you want people to call you, that's a very important place to put your phone number. Now, here's the thing is that there's also some tools out there that track phone numbers. Do you know about these? There's tools like CallRail, and a lot of small businesses think people are going to memorize my phone number. The truth is they're not going to. But what's really helpful is if you have a website and you Google My Business page and you have a magazine article and you have a print piece that you send out to the neighborhood, it's really helpful to have different phone numbers or a different way for them to contact you from those different sources so that you can track if you're getting any kind of results from that particular source. So it's really great to know that I'm getting 8 calls every month from Google My Business, and I got 150 calls from that mailer I put out, and I've got 2,000 calls from that magazine ad. But I took out radio ads, and I can't track a single call. Like, that's really helpful to know. The tool that you want to know about that is a tool called CallRail. CallRail will give you multiple numbers that all ring the same phone, and you'll be able to track how many times those numbers have been called. Now, if you work with an agency, we use something called Go High Level, which is powered by Twilio, and you'll hear me say Go High Level several times. You ever work with an agency, you want to make sure you work with an agency that's using Go High Level. All right. So I hope that's clear. And if you have questions along the way, please feel free to put those into the Q&A section. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Second thing, a lot of small businesses think that what they're going to do is put out all of this information about who they are. They're going to kind of blast people with, we do this, and we do this, and we do this, and we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this. And they think that people are going to be excited about that. The truth of the matter is that people aren't quite as excited about your business as you are. And what they want to know is they want to know what you do and what their next step is. And before you build a website, you should always be thinking about, what do you want people to do next? When they go to this site here that I put an example in, that this is a builder that specializes in ICCF block. Now, if somebody types in ICCF block, especially in Prescott, they're going to find this site. This site is ranking very well for that. What do we want them to do? Well, we want them to either very clearly call a phone number, or even better yet, we have this form that's sitting right here. Yes, I'd like to learn more. And they fill out the form, and then we can put that into an email system, a follow-up system where they get contacted right away. And then it also pings the owner to get them on the phone and to call them. So there are a couple of things. Whenever you're building a website, to put something in the background that helps to follow up on leads is very, very helpful. So not only do people want to have a phone number, but secondly, to have something, it can be powered by MailChimp, it can be powered by Go High Level, it can be powered by ActiveCampaign, or a number of other CRMs that will gather people's information, will send you a notification that somebody has filled out that form, and then automatically opt them in to a sequence of emails that says, hey, we got your email. We'll get right back to you. And then the next piece saying, hey, here's a little bit about our company. And it kind of drips that out over time. And those drips make it so people are more likely to come to you for sales. All right. Any questions about calls to action, or some kind of CRM system that's connected with your website? Any that are out there?
No questions yet, Mark.
Okay.
Proceed.
How many of you, if you just put it in the chat, how many of you are using something like MailChimp, using ActiveCampaign, using Salesforce? Is anybody using any of those tools yet? MailChimp is great. Okay, so lots of MailChimps out there. Okay, and none. Getting ready to. The great thing about MailChimp, it's not the most powerful program out there, but it's pretty simple to use and it's not very expensive. So I also want to give you a warning. Not a lot of people know this. If you send out a mass campaign using your Google account, that's a good way to get yourself blacklisted in spam. And once you get blacklisted in spam, once they've identified you as that, it is very hard to undo that. Sometimes you have to just kind of give up on that particular email address and go to something else. Using something like MailChimp, Aweber, Constant Contact, there's SendFox, obviously Go High Level is what agencies use, ActiveCampaign, Salesforce, any of those kind of mail tools that are going out to people, they go past the protocols and they help you to not land in people's spam folders or to blacklist your email address. So make sure you don't put any more than a couple people ever in the CC line of a email. Okay, I hope that's helpful. I'm going to move on. Our next thing is chat bubbles are really a great way for people to interact with a website. You'll see them more and more often these days. We're seeing high conversion rates with chat bubbles. And you might be thinking, man, I do not want to babysit a chat bubble all day. I'll tell you, there's a couple ways that you can have a chat bubble on your website that you don't have to babysit. First of all, using something like Voice Nation, they have a live chat support. It's not very much money, and somebody sits in the United States. They're based out of Georgia, and they actually respond to people's chats for you. And then they can give you information beyond that. There's also automated chat bots where it just goes in and say, hey, tell me what your question is. This is the way it is on my site. Tell me what your question is. Give me your name and your phone number. And it says, hey, great, we'll get right back to you. That sends a message to my phone. And then I get that chat right away. I can respond to them on my phone. And it also then opts them into my follow-up sequence in email and text messaging and that sort of thing. So that's a really helpful way to increase your conversions these days. Is anybody out there using a chat bubble right now? Just type yes in the chat if you are using a chat bubble on your website. So we got one person who is. All right. And a couple people are. So it's a very, very helpful tool for conversions. Great. Um, this is often overlooked, but when you click on a button on the mobile site and you see I have this is the same site, one is the desktop version, one's the mobile version. Every site these days needs to be what you call mobile responsive. If it's not mobile responsive, you need to hire a web designer to make your site mobile responsive. Generally speaking, in most industries, especially the ones that you guys mentioned, 60% of your people are going to be looking at your site on a mobile device and only 40% will be looking on it on a desktop. And so you have to make sure that it looks good on a mobile device all the time and that both are working well. On a mobile device, having the phone number up top and the ability to when they click on that phone number, it should automatically dial their phone. That's a piece of text that in the code it says TEL a colon and the phone number. If you don't know how to program that into your button, contact your web guy and he'll know how to do that. But it's very important that when they click the phone number, it actually dials on their cell phone. That again increases your conversions. Okay, let's talk about GT metrics. Now, GT metrics is really a cool tool, and what GT metrics does is it will evaluate your site for free and tell you if there are any issues that it finds that's hindering the load speeds. Now, how many of you just type a one in the chat have been frustrated before because you went to a website and it took forever to load? Just put a one in the chat if that's ever been you before. Yeah, the so all of you have been frustrated with that before. The truth is that if it takes more than about 2 seconds for your website to load, your conversion rate goes down, 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 down. And your website needs to load fast. So how do you know how fast it's loading? See, it's already preloaded on your computer, so it's hard to evaluate that. A tool like GT Metrics will go out to specifically to Canada. It's going to load your site from another resource, and it'll tell you how fast your site's loading, and then it'll give you a whole evaluation as far as here's what's holding up your site. There's a server issue, there's a picture that's too large, there's code that doesn't understand, and it'll work you all through that. Then you could take that information to a web developer and say, hey, I got this from GT Metrics. Can you help my site get faster? The other thing, besides just the information on your site that may be holding up your site, especially a big picture, your picture should be much, much smaller than if they're bigger than a megabyte, they're going to be way too big. They should be in the kilobyte range. Let me just go through the list here first. First, the next thing is who's hosting your site. I always recommend people to either use SiteGround or use WP Engine. I don't get paid for that. I just have found that these are two very good tools. SiteGround is less expensive, but it's made for people who have some web experience and can troubleshoot the site themselves. It's more of a wholesale kind of web hosting, and it's very fast. It's very good. I've tried them all and I've been burned by them all. And right now, all of our agency sites sit on SiteGround. Now, WP Engine has a really, really, really good customer service base, and they have some very high-end sophisticated features. If you're not familiar with maintaining a site yourself and troubleshooting a site yourself, WP Engine is kind of the way to go. Now, people often ask me, what about GoDaddy? That's the one that's really popular. I'm going to be honest with you. Their sites are slow, and these are much, much better tools. The other thing that is really helpful is a plugin that's called Smush. Smush will take all of your pictures and will compress them down as you load them in, and it'll optimize them for speed. It's really common. A lot of websites have Smush or a plugin like it. And then the next piece is Microsoft Clarity. Microsoft Clarity is a free analytics plugin. And so here's what Microsoft Clarity does. This is just the slickest darn thing. Microsoft Clarity will give you all kinds of data for free about your website. So that's at clarity.microsoft.com. And it'll tell you what sites are being accessed, how often they're being accessed, what time they're being accessed, what country they're being accessed from, the demographics of these sites. It goes on and on and on. But what's really slick, and that's in this panel here, what's really slick here is it'll show you, see all these little heat map buttons? On this side, it's showing where people are clicking. Now, that little red spot, that happens to be the donate button. So for a nonprofit, they're very excited to see that show up. But it also shows that a lot of people fill out the form that's on the top here. A lot of people are clicking on some of these buttons, but look at this one right here. nobody clicked on. And so it's good for us to know that there are certain places where people aren't clicking anymore. And there's places where there's a lot of traffic and people are clicking. So it gives us these free heat maps about the site. So you know how people are interacting with your site. It also takes recordings every so many visitors to show in real time how they navigated through your site. And again, this is all free. It's just incredible information to actually watch somebody go through the experience with your site. And that helps you to better design a site. Now, this plane down here, this red area shows um, that this is the area where most people hit, and they never got past it. This midline right here, it says that this is the middle of where people got past. And then this green area down here is basically saying nobody got down that far. So when I look at this for this particular site, that means that people only went to the opening window. They clicked on the links up above, they filled out this form, and they never scrolled down. So that's good. That means I don't want to put any information down where they're not scrolling. I want to put everything that's important up in the area where it's red. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns about Microsoft Clarity? Is this a new tool for you?
Yeah, a lot of great information here, Mark, that I was not aware of. Of course, I'm not a digital marketer, but I think there would be some questions right now. Why don't we pause for just a second?
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad to answer questions because
A lot of
I
information came through here, but if not, we'll proceed.
has
Yeah.
anybody have you heard of Microsoft Clarity before? Is that new for people?
We do have a question in the chat.
Oh,
Mark, can you see it? Go
um, so yeah, it's a pain
Let
in
me,
the
let me ask it because it's only to us. So if we started with GoDaddy, how difficult is it to move to a company you recommend?
it's a bit of a pain. If you've never done it yourself, it is I would recommend hiring a web guy to do that. They can usually do it in a couple of hours, and so it's not real expensive. But with that being said, on SiteGround, there is a migration tool. You have to kind of know WordPress fairly well to go in and install the migration tool on one site, the migration tool on the other, and to migrate them back and forth. There is a there is another tool that's not a SiteGround tool that's called all-in-one WP migration, and so I'll write that out. Can they not see the Tim? Can they not see the chat?
The chat is on. Everybody should see it. Folks, let me know if you can't see the chat box or the responses. Some people are typing only to the host and panelists, so those will be invisible to most folks. But
Okay, I just put in the chat the all-in-one WP migration app is really a helpful tool. You can put it on one site. It'll take a complete copy of your site and download it onto your computer, and then you can install WordPress in a different place and then upload that entire site in that other place using all-in-one WP migration. And there is a version that's free. If your site is a certain size, I think it's 500 megabytes or less. If you have a really huge site, I think the full blown version of it's like $69. It's not super cheap if you have a really huge site, but if you have a really huge site, you probably have invested a lot of money in it anyway. So all I'd say it's a bit of a pain, but it can be done, and I've done it lots and lots of times for people, and they usually come to me with complaints from GoDaddy specifically. Any other questions about that before I move on?
I think it's full steam ahead, Mark.
All right, we'll keep on
Well,
going.
here's one to everyone.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't address their merchant services again because we don't use GoDaddy. We use WooCommerce when we build e-commerce sites, and because it's free, and then we're not tied to any one host. So that's the problem with Wix and with GoDaddy both, is that once you get into them, you get into their merchant services, you're stuck. And the other problem with Wix, so let me talk about that for a second. Yeah, Wix is very, very easy to get a site up and going. Um, the downside of it is trying to make global changes on a Wix site is really a pain in the neck. It takes a really, really long time. The other piece is that SEO is a little questionable on Wix sites. And if you start a non-e-commerce Wix site, you have to tear the whole thing down and then rebuild it as an e-commerce website. Oh my gosh, what a pain. Uh, WordPress is just it's such a better platform. You can add and subtract shopping carts if you need to. And having WordPress on an independent host like SiteGround or WP Engine means that you can add hosting services or subtract them. And you have just a lot more flexibility. And um, Google and other search engines are set up specifically for WordPress sites. It really favors those and knows how to read those. And SEO is much simpler. Sometimes some of these platforms. Gosh, I think somebody came to me with a Joomla site once. They wanted me to work on it, and I said, no, I won't even touch it. We don't even know how to do SEO on a Joomla site. It's such a it's such a difficult one. Yeah, so I'm saying Wix. Yeah, so a Wix is really easy to get started, but it's really hard to maintain. And then it also does weird things with the pictures. It does this weird. I don't even know how to call it. It makes these weird effects on the pictures. Making global changes are hard. Putting up a blog is hard. There's a lot of things that you need for digital marketing that Wix is just a pain in the neck. And so we don't recommend Wix at all. And I have moved many Wix sites off of Wix and rebuilt them in WordPress over the years. Um, yeah, there you go. So Darcy is giving me a testimony for how darn hard Wix is. If you have a one-page site, it's not bad. But if you have a multi-page site and you want to start a blog, man, it's really a pain. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, and we'll switch over to WordPress. There we go. It's a pain in the neck. Um, so here's the thing too, is that it may be good for you to know that an experienced web guy can usually take a Wix site and completely rebuild in WordPress for under $1,000. So, sometimes if it's going to burn 80 hours of your time to try to, you know, figure out WordPress and move a site over, it's just better to hire a guy to do it. They can do it usually in a few days. All right. And any other questions before I move on? All right, I'm going to move on. Okay, so here's the next thing. There's always the question of, do I use stock photos? Do I use our photos? What photos should I use? Do I need to use photos at all? Some people think people just want to read copy. The truth is that authentic images are good for your SEO because Google will always prefer authentic images. Google these days is smart enough to be able to identify a stock image when it sees one. So as much as you can, you want to use images. You want to smush them with something like Smush, and you want to use as many authentic images as you can. Now, let me tell you just a little marketing tip. You always want to sell the experience rather than selling your truck. This is a flooring shop there in Prescott. You can go visit over there on 6th Street. And obviously, we want to sell the experience of having beautiful floors in a beautiful home. That's the thing that's most appealing about the flooring shop. It's not the stacks of tiles, it's not the raw materials, it's the end product. A lot of people are just really proud of their trucks and they want to try to sell their truck, and nobody wants to buy your truck. They do want to buy the experience of owning your product. Um, so authentic images, videos are huge. A lot of times videos the right hand side of your website, if you embed one right here, that's a really effective place for you to make an appeal, for you to get on and say, hey, let me tell you about the company and let me show you some of our work and that sort of thing. Or sometimes people make this whole front plane a video. Um, some pictures of the owner, some pictures of your crew. They're going to be, especially if you're in the space like a contracting space, that you're going to be inside people's homes. They want to see what you look like. They want to see the work that you do. They want to see if you look trustworthy. So hiring a professional photographer to come in and take some beautiful pictures of your work and some beautiful pictures of your staff and of your processes it is worth a few $100s at that cost. All right. And any questions about photography?
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
So, relating to this slide, when you say authentic images and videos, do you mean non-AI generated?
I mean that you actually go down and you take a camera and you take pictures of your stuff. So like with with this example, cutting edge flooring, that's an actual picture of one of their jobs. So it's completely authentic. And the only place you'll find this is on their website on the internet. You won't find this picture anywhere else. So Google likes that. And then they also like, they can tell AI is kind of funky when it comes to marketing. Um, I have some feelings about that. Those aren't authentic pictures, and so it's better to use authentic pictures. And people can tell. I can tell when it's an AI generated picture. So unless you have a good reason for using one, I would avoid that in this particular case. I will show you how to use AI a little later in marketing because AI is something we do need to embrace, but probably not as far as photography is concerned.
Couple more questions, Mark.
Yeah, yeah.
What does Microsoft Clarity gain in exchange for its free tool, and what is being given up to them?
Oh man, that sounds like there's like a scary conspiracy theory going on there.
Uh,
Um, I don't know. Um, I don't know what they gain, but whatever they gain, they probably could gain if they want to, one way or the other. You have to understand that as far as digital marketing is concerned, if you put it on the internet, it is free game for people to go in and evaluate. There's a lot of things I can tell about you and your world and your business by taking tools and picking them apart. And those are don't put secrets out on the internet. It is public domain. So I don't know what they gain. Uh,
Another question, does Google actually give a meaningfully higher SEO value for the photos taken by our camera instead of stock or AI?
Yes, yes, they do. They do. That's an excellent question, and that is exactly right. And then if you're building a WordPress site, the titles and descriptions and the backgrounds of those pictures are actually really important. And so you should take the time to put in the information on the back end of the site. We have a minute later, and you remind me, I can show you how to do that at the end of this. But yes, they will favor original pictures.
And then a question from Kim, how about the size of the image affecting SEO, and what can you use to lower image size?
Yeah, so Smush is
Yeah.
the easy way. You put that on your site and it automatically compresses the photos. SiteGround has a tool as well that automatically compresses the photos. Or you can go into your photo editor if you're using, if you're using it, like Photoshop, and just resample the photo to a little smaller size. And you want to get it down in the kilograms, or the kilograms, the kilobytes. Kilograms is a different thing. The kilobyte area. So if you have a picture that is 100 kilobytes, that's probably a good size. If you have one that's in the megabyte or bigger arena, it's too big. Also, GT metrics will tell you if there's a picture that's too big, and then you can go back either using Photoshop or using Smush and compress that thing down. If you get it too small, it'll get pixelated. So that's always a challenge. I've been building websites since the 90s, and we've always had this challenge of like, if it gets too small, it looks like junk. If it gets too big, it loads too slow. So you're always playing this game of trying to get that picture the right size so that it looks good on your screen without loading too slow.
Kim, there was an earlier slide on this topic. Maybe you came in late.
Yeah.
So look
Um,
for that when you get the slide handout.
Let me mention this too for loading speeds. You want to use JPEGs and PNGs only. Well, an SVG file for vector graphics, but for pictures, only JPEGs and PNG files. Don't use TIFFs. Don't use anything else. Um, and you want to use JPEGs for photos, and you want to use PNG files for like graphics, like logos and that sort of thing. And then if you can convert it with your program over to a WebP format, those do load a little faster in addition to that. So if that's helpful to know that information.
Cool. Thanks,
Okay.
Kim. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. Those are excellent questions. I appreciate that. Okay, well, there's just a few tips about how to build your website, and I want to talk a little bit now about how to optimize your website for search engine ranking. Now, some of you, this is going to be enough for you. Others of you, you're going to need to hire a pro in addition to doing these things. So I saw somebody who was in the real estate space, for example. In Prescott, there's thousands of people in the real estate space. It's very hard to rank for that. But if you're in something really, really nichey, like you're a dog walker or you sell some kind of widgets or artwork or something that is very, very much a niche market, you may not need to do anything more than this. So here's your basics for optimizing your website for search engine optimization for SEO. First of all, have a page for all of your core services. So you should have a services page. Then on that page, list down the page a headline of your service and a brief description of what it is, and have those services all linked to pages that are completely dedicated to that service. So let's say this is a mechanic shop and they do a whole bunch of services. So four of their services are alignments, audio, clutch rebuilding, and engine replacement. So on a services page, we list out all the things that they do. And then there's a whole other page. When you click on alignment, there's a page that's called alignment. All of the copy on that page is about alignment, and it shows pictures about alignment. Now, I will say that whereas I said it's always better to use real pictures, it's also better to use a stock picture rather than no picture at all. So on this page, this is a real picture from the shop. This is a stock photo. That's a stock photo. That's a real picture from the shop. You want to use a picture. It just didn't happen to be that they had a picture of an audio system available. So while we were building the site, it's like, okay, we're just going to use a picture that we have on file. The other thing is that this this line here, when you are building the site, this should be a heading 2, not a heading 1. A heading 1 should be reserved only for the very top heading on your site. And these should also be not a heading 1, but a heading 2 or a heading 3. And then this a copy down here, this should be paragraph text. And those are called H tags in the website world. And Google reads H tags, and it reads H tags first, and then it reads your copy. If everything's an H tag, it'll just ignore it. If nothing's an H tag, it's going to ignore it. If everything's an H1 tag, it's going to ignore it. So very specifically, you want to keep this guy in H2 and these H3 or H4s. Those are heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, and then make sure that most of your copy is paragraph copy, not heading copy. That's a mistake I see a lot of people make. They go, "Oh, it's really cool that it's bold." They make everything bold. They use everything headings for entire paragraphs, and for SEO, that's just killing you. All right. A recommended tool that will help you is a tool called Yoast. Yoast is very, very, very important. Every website should have Yoast on it. There is a free version that will tell you, it'll tell you, what keyword you can put in a keyword, and it'll tell you if it's actually reading for that keyword and what you need to change. And if it's got enough copy, if it's got too much copy, it's going to give you all of these parameters, and it'll walk you through the process on a do-it-yourself SEO campaign. There's a premium plugin from Yoast that's like $89 a year. It's not a ton of money, and it really is a lot better. And it'll give you all kinds of additional tools. It also show you how it's going to show up on social media and all kinds of other things. And they have an entire thing they call Yoast University that is connected with Yoast, that it'll give you a really deep dive into how SEO works and how to set up your site for SEO, much more than what I can do in a short webinar like this one. It'll spend hours and hours and hours teaching you how to use the plugin. It's very, very good. And for the little bit of money you pay for it, is well worth the effort. So anything question about services page and a core page for every service? Any questions about that? Okay, if that makes sense to you, if you could put a 1 in the chat, then that would be helpful.
Thank you.
All right, great. All right, I'm going to move on to the next thing. Okay, the next piece is that you should have a page that talks about the area that you serve. So if you serve in Prescott, you want to make sure you have a page that's about Prescott. And then when Google is looking at people who type in something like, okay, I want alignments in Prescott, then it's going to see your site and say, okay, there's an alignment page on that site. There's a Prescott page on that site. I'm going to put 2 and 2 together that they do alignments in Prescott. Does that make sense? A lot of people ignore putting on a page about their city and where they're located at. I'm going to move on along. The last thing is there should be a page or a post. So this can be either a page or a blog post, either way, about all the different brands that you support. So again, getting back to this off-road shop, this is a shop that is in Prescott. They have they serve, Superlift and Tough Country and Smittybilt and Warren and some others. And the best practices is to have a blog page or a regular page that is all about Superlift, that's all about Tough Country, is all about Warn, and to talk about all those products and that link it to other places in the site. So again, when somebody's typing in, I want to find an off-road shop that has Warn winches. Where do I go? And I'm in Prescott. It's going to a page like this and saying, okay, they have a Prescott page, they have a Warren page, they have a winches page, they have a winch installation page. They even have an article about all the different ways I can use winches. This obviously is a site that's authoritative about winches in Prescott. This is what I'm gonna prioritize as far as showing the user that this seems to be the place they want to go. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And if you're starting to get overwhelmed by how to write all this copy, I'm going to give you a tool about that too. But before I get on to that, there's a big no-no in website world. The big no-no where you go and you copy your competitor's text and you paste it onto your page. That is a huge no-no. That hurts you. Google will catch you doing that, and they will punish you for it. So how do you get around that? And especially if you're not a writer, if you don't want to sit there and write for hours and hours and hours, there are some really great AI tools, and this is where AI really is your friend. The service that we use as an agency is a service that's called copy.ai. And I kid you not, again, if somebody wants to hang on afterwards, I can show you how this works. I can put in Warren, write me an article about Warren winches for a shop in Prescott called Mile High Off Road. I press enter and it'll write me an entire article that is keyword optimized for Warren witches. And then I can then tell it, write me a description and give me keywords, and it'll give me everything I need for programming Yoast in the background. And it'll just spit it out. And matter of fact, copy.ai will give you 1,000 words a month for free, something like that. It'll give you quite a bit of content for free. And then you take that, again, best practice with AI is you take that copy that spits out, you read it for accuracy and for fluency, because sometimes it's just a computer. Sometimes it doesn't read right. It uses weird terms, or it's not accurate. And you have to train the AI a little better to give you better accurate results. So you read through it, make sure it's accurate. Then you can just pop it on your website. ChatGPT, yes, ChatGPT is a good one to use for copy as well. We prefer copy.ai because it writes specifically for it really specializes in copy, and it uses a ChatGPT engine in the background, but it specializes in copy. And so that's why we use it. The other one that a lot of agencies use is jasper.ai, and that's a really excellent tool. Then the last one I want to talk to you about is if you really want to hire a live person, maybe you're the kind of person that you are, you're like, man, AI is going to take over the world. I don't want to use it. You can hire a copywriter through textbroker.com, and to have somebody write a blog page for you or to write a page on your website is usually not even $100 to hire somebody to do that. So that's where you would hire them. And that's a vetted site, textbroker.com. All right, let me talk to you a little bit about how to write a blog page, but let me also touch on this. So how do you know what people are searching for? Like, for example, people may not know the lingo of your company. They may not know if you're a plumber that, what you call that particular procedure that you do to install their water heater. And the way that you find out what people are actually typing into Google, so you know what to put on your website, is through trends.google.com. Let me be a little more clear about how this works. So I want to talk about a painter. So I typed in all of these different searches. So I want to know I'm thinking about writing an article about painting a house for a painter's website. And I want to know, is it more popular to write an article about painting in winter, painting trends, house paint colors, kitchen painting, or paint colors in 2023? And so I can go and type into trends.google.com, and it'll tell me how often those particular searches have been done. And in this case, it's telling me that this green one, which is kitchen painting, is probably the most popular topic for me to write about. So I'm going to say, okay, of those, I'm going to write a blog post about kitchen painting and optimize it for that particular thing. The second most popular one was that yellow one. That's house paint colors. Well, apparently people want to know what the cool color schemes are right now. And so I can write an article about house paint colors that are trending, in 2024. And then of course put my contact in there. Hey, if you want somebody who's an expert on house colors and what's trending, call us. But then it also told me that painting in winter, um, paint colors in 2023, and painting trends, those weren't popular at all. And so this is a really helpful tool so that you know what is trending right now in Google and what is not. And it's free. All right. So once you have your topics, and there's the challenge to write some new content on your site. As you write content on your site, and this is usually in the form of a blog, then Google sees your site as being an authoritative site. So if you're a pet, a dog walker, for example, and you have a site, your site has information about, okay, here's different kinds of leashes, and here's how I get the dog to obey, and here's where you use booties, and here's my 9 favorite collars to use, and you have all this information about your site, about your business on your site. Then Google sees that and they say, man, this seems to be the most authoritative place for dog walking on the internet. And this one that I put up here, this is a family ministry, and they're writing all of these different articles about introducing your kids to religion, and traits of an effective father, and all these different parenting resources. And they have just gobs and gobs, dozens and dozens and dozens of articles about this. And this site actually is trending really, really well right now as one of the most authoritative places on the internet for Christian parenting. So that's the strategy there. And then let me get into a little bit of WordPress. I talk about H1 headings, H2 headings, and so on. In WordPress, when you write an article, you want to make sure the H1 heading, this heading up here at the top, it automatically says H1 heading. In the bottom area down here, you should never use an H1 heading, but every section should have a heading before the paragraph text, and it should start with H2. So your main keywords and your main should be in your titles and in your text. So if you're going to optimize a site for kitchen painting, then you need to make sure that in the main title it says kitchen painting in there, that in the subtitles it says kitchen painting in there, and that all the copy is about kitchen painting. You don't go off topic. You don't talk about kitchen painting and remodeling. You just keep that blog post about kitchen painting and only kitchen painting, and kitchen painting shows up a bunch of times over the course of that article. And I'm going to give you this one last thing before I go to questions again. The way you write a blog post is very specific. This doesn't really change. This is the way you write them. If you don't write them this way, you'll get punished by not getting ranking. You have a title, an H1 title, and then under that title, you have 150 words or less with, we start with a keyword. So we have a keyword like kitchen painting. So we say, okay, kitchen painting trends of 2024. So it has the word kitchen painting in it. In this first 150 words, we say, okay, here's kitchen painting trends for 2024. If you're thinking about kitchen painting, you need to, follow this advice. And then we have headings that all relate back to different types of kitchen painting with 150 words or less under each one of these headings. All 3 of these need to relate to the title, and we have to make sure that this 150 words relates to this heading, and this one relates to this heading, this relates to this heading. And then the conclusion restates the title again, and then gives us 150 words that encompasses all of this into a conclusion. When a blog post is written like this, then Google can very clearly see that this is a blog post about kitchen painting, and you must be a kitchen painter. Okay. When we get on a whole bunch of different topics on one blog, Google just gets confused and says, I don't know what to do with this, and it won't give you ranking for that term. All right, that was a lot. Are you with me? Are there questions that I can answer at this point in time about writing a blog and how a blog turns into SEO ranking? Okay, let me ask you this. How many of you, just put a one in the blog, have a blog on your website? And if you don't, put a zero in the blog. If you don't have a blog, put a zero or put no. So a lot of you don't. Okay, well, one thing I would encourage you to do, and I see that a number of you do not have blogs yet. If you want to rank for SEO, a blog is really important. Then you could take that same content, you can copy and paste it over to your email drip system. You can also take bits and pieces of that and push that over to social media so you can reuse that information every so often. But when an SEO company comes in, one of the things they're going to do is they're going to write on your blog on a pretty regular basis. Okay, so Kim, quick, you have a question. I'll wait for it to come in. Oh, maybe not. Well, Kim, I'll wait for that. I'll wait for that question. I'll watch for it, and I'm going to move on to our last section. How are we doing on time, Tim? Got about 8 minutes left, right?
About eight. Whoop. Trying to turn back the camera on. Oh well. Yeah, about 8 minutes. We can go a tad over. There was a topic you wanted to circle back to if we had time. So maybe think about a couple minutes at the end for that. I don't recall what it was.
Okay, yeah, and we'll see if anybody has specific questions they want me to dig into, GT metrics or I can show you how copy.ai works. There's some things I can show you how to do if you want to hang on afterwards. Joshua, yeah, how often should you post to the blog? That's a really good question. I would say no less than once a month. Um, they there is this, how do I explain this? There is an increasing scale that the more you post to your blog, the better you rank. So if you post once a month, that's kind of a maintenance amount. If you post 2 or 3 times a month, it starts to grow a little bit. You start posting like 8 or 10 times a month, you start growing exponentially faster. And one study that we read said that 11 times a month is not too many times to post to a blog. So all that to say, more often than you are. And typically speaking, when we do SEO work for people, we typically post once a week on their blog, and then we push that content out to their social channels as well. And so if that's helpful for you, obviously it's very time consuming to post, uh, 11 or more times a month. And but at the same time, as you post for a specific set of keywords, then it will help you to rank for things. Let me tell you about this too. Um, let me answer your question just a minute, Kim. There's a site that's called Answer the Public. I put that in the chat. Oh, I didn't spell it very right though. Answer the Public. There we go. Answer the public, and you can put in a topic. Let's again say kitchen painting, and you go to answer the public. You type in kitchen painting, blah, 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 and it'll tell you all the questions that people are asking Google about kitchen painting on the internet, and it'll prioritize those for you. So then you can another way you can write your blog is just by answering all of those questions that it has about kitchen painting. There's 3 headings in my example because blogs should generally be about 400 words, broken up into, sections, an intro, 150, 3 sections are 150 each. And then how many was that? I guess that was more like 600 words, but they should generally be between about 400 and about 1,000 words, kind of in that range. And so generally speaking, an intro, 3 headings, and a conclusion is just a really good way to keep it right about that range. So it's not too short or it's not too long. All right. Any
Question.
other one? Go ahead.
Joshua had a question about how often should we post to blogs?
Yeah, I think I just answered that.
Oh,
That once a week is pretty standard. Once a month is a minimum, and 11 times or more a month is not too much. But typically, when we do SEO campaigns, we do once a week.
and Kim, sorry, I was going to let you speak, but I couldn't see you in the attendee list for some reason. I saw you in the chat, but not the attendee list. Anyway, let us know if you have other questions.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna move on to the
Can
next
you show
piece.
an
Oh, go
example?
ahead.
Kim asked about, can you show an example of that?
Yeah, let me see. Kim, if you want to hang on after we're all done, then I can share my browser and we can go through a couple of tools on the internet. I can get on my PowerPoint presentation and I can show you a couple of the things that if you're able to, yeah, if you're able to stay on after this next section. This is my last section. We're going to talk about Google Maps. This is the secret sauce for your SEO. And so I want to make sure that we at least touch on this in the last 4 minutes that we have. 4 minutes. Holy smokes. This went by fast. All right. Google My Business is the most important place for you to be for your business. So when you open up an account, when you open up a new company, rather, the very first thing you need to do is go to business.google.com and register your business. And they're going to make you verify your business. And it's a pain in the neck. And you got to do it. You got to do it, got to do it, got to do it. It is so important that you are a verified business on Google. So just type in the chat verified if you are already a verified business on Google. Stephanie is good. Okay. Good, good. All right. PETA. All right. So a lot of you are already verified. If you're not verified, get verified. Then once you're verified, you can also run Google Ads. I don't have time to talk about Google Ads today. They're effective for some companies. You can call me later if you want to know if it's effective for your company. A really quick and easy tool to get yourself in all the other directories, and in addition to Google, is this is secret sauce right here. This took me years to discover this. Bright Local. Bright Local gets you into all of the major directories. It gets you into hundreds of them for a couple of $100. It saves you hours and hours and hours and hours of work of going to Yellow Pages and putting it in, then going to Angie's List and putting it in, going to Housing, but oh my gosh, it just does it all at one time. And it's an incredibly powerful tool. There's another one that agencies often use that I use. It's called Yext, and it also is a very powerful tool. The difference is that Bright Local puts all of your directories out there once, it just spreads them out, and then it doesn't maintain them. Yext keeps its fingers in all the directories and it maintains them all the time. It keeps them completely current all the time. So agencies often use Yext for that purpose. But would highly recommend that you get into all of the directories that are pertinent to your company. Okay, Google My Business. Claim and verify your Google My Business listing. And once that's claimed and verified, when you type in your company, it should pop up in the corner over here. And if it doesn't, there's obviously something wrong with how your company's been verified. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this piece for your company is one of the most important pieces that you have in your digital marketing arsenal. You should then fill out everything in your Google My Business profile, everything. Make sure you load up lots of pictures. Make sure you talk about all of your services. Make sure that when you're posting, that you also post to Google My Business. That's in this section right here. So up here, this is your descriptions. These are your services. This is your pictures. These are your reviews. Reviews are very, very, very important for your business. Then it has your social media profiles here. Fill it all out. Google will pull from itself before it pulls from everywhere else. And Google is the most important search engine on the internet. There are other ones out there and they're getting traffic sometimes. Most of the internet traffic comes from Google. Okay, I got to move along. The other thing, you should have a proactive review strategy. Ask people to send reviews. Email them and ask them for reviews. Give them a card with a QR code and say, can you please review us if you were happy with the service? Some POS systems have review modules built into them. Then there's some companies like Bright Local and Bird Eye or an ad agency that can help you with reviews. That can put together review requests for you and request that of your customers. And companies that have a lot of reviews tend to get more and more business. Okay, this is my last slide, and then I can let some of you go and I can take more questions at the end. In addition to posting on social media. And I talked about blog. So general strategies, you take your blog, you break it up into little social media chunks, you post that out on social media. Plus you do some social things on social media, ask people questions, put pictures of your crew in Santa hats, put pictures of your jobs that are out there, put out some hearty things about your family, put the company dog. I mean, you want to be social on social media and interact with people. But as you're scheduling posts in your social media, don't forget to schedule posts on your Google My Business account. And if you want a tool that will post to Instagram, and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Google My Business and do it all at one time. There are tools like Social Pilot that will do that all at one time. It doesn't cost very much. Or through an agency, we set that up through Go High Level. So, and let me give you this one one little piece. If you want to take over the internet, you want to take over your area on the internet. If you were to post 5 days a week on social media, and you were to put even $10 per post on a boost in your local market, and you put that to your zip code, you'll take over your zip code in about 90 days. You'll be everywhere on the internet. So that only costs about $300 a month. I think my math's a little off on that. $220 a month, and it's the best $220 you'll spend. Okay, let me ask. I'm at the end. This is how you get a hold of me. Are there any other questions that I can answer? Because we are at 11 o'clock.
And I should reiterate, you probably saw it in chat, but everyone will get a copy of these slides if you didn't get them already, along with a checklist. I think those went out yesterday, and then the recording of this presentation will be sent to you in the next day or two as a link that you can watch offline.
Okay, great. If there's somebody who wants to stay on for another minute, I can show you how to use copy.ai and how to use Answer the Public. Would that be helpful? Or is there another tool that you want me to demonstrate how to use? If you can type that in the chat, I'm glad to stay for an extra minute. And so it looks like there's a couple of yeses on there. So if that's okay, Tim, I'll at least get those two tools done.
Okay.
And okay. I'm gonna stop the share, and I'm gonna share my browser instead. I have a browser. It's already all loaded up with these things.
Do you mind if I put Quick or Kim Quick on real quick?
No, that's fine.
I'm going to allow you to, I think. Oh, she just went away. Maybe I allowed someone else to talk. Kim, there she is. Kim, go ahead and ask away.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I just because I do my website, I started to do blogging, and I wanted to understand. So are you saying, I think maybe you said you could show an example, because I'll have my top heading, which should be H1. Is that the blog heading should be H1? I have also Squarespace is what I use. So, and then are you saying in the body of the blog have a couple of headings in there?
At least every 150 words. So don't go more than 150 words without a heading. And so you should start with the heading of your blog. You know what? I have a bad host for one of my sites that I was going to show you as an example. I got, in all my years of doing this, we've made some mistakes, and one of those was one of my sites is on a bad host, and the way it's set up, I can't move it. It's logged in with a bunch of my other accounts. It's a mess. So we had to start a new site. Anyway, I digress. All right, I'm gonna share my screen, and I'll show you how this works. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen here.
Yep,
I am in the backside of my website here. Oh, whoops. So when I go to put in a post, you can see here are all of my posts, right? When I add a new post, this title here is going to automatically be an H1 title, automatically. So if I put in my heading, it's pre-formatted that way. Down here, I want to make sure, first of all, we want to not start with a heading down here. We want to start with a paragraph that mirrors this, the keyword. So we'll have a key phrase. So let me just go through the whole process of how I would do this. I need to move this out of the way. So I can, okay. So I would start with something like copy.ai. And so copy.ai, I would say, okay, I am a, uh, I can ask copy.ai what are some keywords related to digital marketing. So this is one way I can do this. Okay, so so it went out real quick and it told me that here's some keywords: search engine optimization, social media marketing, email marketing, influencer marketing, content marketing, pay-per-click advertising. Okay, so all of these things are keywords. Now, another way I can find that out is I can go here to answer the public, and I can put in digital marketing. Whoops, I didn't spell digital very well. Well, shucks. I may have to say incognito, digital marketing. Well, it's not going to show it to me now, darn it. Well, anyway, the other way we can do it. Well, let me try it with the. Well, it made a little problem there for me. But anyway, all right, let's just use this one. So I want to say, all right, I want to write an article on mobile advertising, mobile marketing. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to clear my chat, and I'm going to tell it some things. I'm going to say, okay, write a blog post about mobile marketing. Use headers. I would say the keyword Walmart. You use headers, use references, make it about 400 words long, and also write a meta description.
I think typo in the make is.
You know what? It'll actually fix it all.
Oh, okay.
And now the best practice is that we take this and we would really read it carefully to make sure it's accurate. And so I'm not going to take the time to do that right now. But what it's done for me is it's given me a title, unlocking the potential of mobile marketing, a comprehensive guide. I would take that and I pop that in to the head here. Now, mobile marketing is my keyword, right? I told it to write on that, and I'm gonna tell Yoast that's my keyword. See, it's got frowny faces right now, but we're gonna fix that. Here's my meta description, and I'm gonna take that meta description. I'm gonna pop it in down here on the meta description inside of Yoast, and it's got the word mobile marketing in it, and it's a little bit too long. I'm not gonna take the time to adjust that right now. And now we have is written all for me. It's used references, whole thing. References are good for SEO as well, because it does follow those links. And so I popped it in there, and I want to make sure that mobile marketing is in this first paragraph. There it is. It's right there. And look at this. Mobile marketing shows up in this header and this header. I want to make sure this header is at least an H2. Oops. Now that wasn't good. I don't want to make the whole thing an H2. So let's press return after these. And these are bullet points. So we're going to have to, okay, so we're going to go through here, and I know this is a little tedious, but bear with me. We're going to mobile application, responsive web design, and then we're going to take it off of that one. We have a conclusion. And that's going to be, we'll make that an H2. And this guy, if we just click on that, if we just do that, it'll automatically make that into a hyperlink. And now let's see what Yoast has to say. Yoast is not working today. Let's see, mobile marketing. Well, darn it. Of course, Yoast is not going to work today. Because that's the way it always is. What's going
on with that, Mark?
Well, I don't know why it's not working, because it should be working. But anyway, normally this would not just give me a high readability score. But let's just see what it says. Oh, it's telling me some things it wants to see. It's saying that I need to add an image on this page. It doesn't like that I don't have an image. So I'll go in here and add. I'm just going to add just any old thing. How about digital marketing? Okay, what else doesn't it like? It wants to see internal links. So it wants to see me link it to another page on my website. The key phrase was found 14 times. It doesn't like that I put it in so many times. So it wants me to go through and eliminate 5 of those. And the SEO title width is too long. And so it wants me to shorten it. So once I go through, and again, I'm not going to take the time to go through all this. Once I go through and I adjust all these things, then this will turn green, and I'll know that I have a blog post that is optimized for SEO. And so that's the kind of the process of going through it again, without going through the huge long process. You see, I didn't have to do a whole lot of writing. It did a lot of the writing for me by using copy.ai, even to come up with a with a search term and whatnot. Now, the other thing we could have done is we could have dumped it all into trends.google.com and seen which one of those keywords it gave me was the most popular one. And I don't know if you want me to go through and show you how to do that. I can. But
Mark, I think we're probably pushing the envelope here.
I think so too.
We did have one more question from Belinda, if she's still here.
Yep.
I did my website in Google/Sites and was advised to get my domain from Namecheap. Is that a good move?
Namecheap is fine. Google Sites is going to my understanding, it's going to go away. So I would rebuild that in WordPress immediately.
Okay, cool. Well, with that, I guess we will move to closing here as soon as I get my camera back on. I think it's on. Anyway, everyone, we had a number of folks stay to the very end, which is wonderful, and must mean it was a good session. Mark, thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
For this, we will bring Mark back in hopefully next year, maybe once or twice, and as we continue our digital marketing series of workshops. So please watch your email for any announcements for the workshops going forward. I think we're wrapping up for the year on digital marketing. Got a couple more on HR and such. So we'll see you next year, Mark. Thanks again very much.
All right, thank you so much, Tim.
All right, signing off, everyone. Have a great day. Look forward to the slides and link to the recording. Cheers.